Welcome to Master Powercast. We're talking UK comics. I think there were probably some people out there that were thinking, Master Powercast, UK comics, Tyler hates those. They're never going to cover them. Well, guess what? I called in the big guns. James Eatock is here. Joining me, we're going to discuss issue 10. So this is, you grew up with this stuff, man. So we're going to get a better perspective on these. Most of the time that I've read through most of this stuff, for the most part, a lot of those stories didn't do a lot for me. But I will say, within this issue, there is some good stuff here. You have plenty of notes for sure. But
yeah,
let's talk about your history with these, growing up with this stuff, man.
Well, it's funny. The UK comics, I think I've got the date written down somewhere. I'm sure they first came out in, it feels like mid to maybe like March of '86 or something. So we're looking at like 2 and a bit years after the cartoon started. I remember when the comic appeared on shelves. I remember going, because I missed that there was they did a TV advert, which was really cool. All these it was like a big version of the issue 1 and all these kind of like a Fisto hand and a Beastman hand and all these like live action hands coming in trying to wrestle the comic off one another. It was really, really cool little advert.
Yeah.
But I never saw the advert. So I just remember walking into my local newsagent one day and seeing Marcy, I was like, oh wow! And at that point, I was buying, Transformers, Marvel UK's Transformers, Secret Wars, which I professed to loving so much. So I was aware I had all these comics on standing order, and I'd buy the Marvel US comics as well, which were always on the bottom shelf. And yeah, seeing that, I was like, oh, I guess buying a new comic now. Master Universe got that on standing order. So, but it felt like it was slightly not late, but yeah, it was weird in the sense of the UK He-Man craze ran for much longer than it did in America, because obviously we had the episodes spread out far more. We beat America to the punch. We were literally the last country still showing new episodes in, what was that, beginning of '88 or whatever it was. It just went on and on. And then we had reruns as well. But that comic, I remember when it arrived, I just thought like, oh, comic, okay. And it's weird. It's like I've got very fond memories of the comic, and I think it was fortnightly initially. Yeah, or maybe I'm not sure if it ever went weekly, to be honest. But every 2 weeks it would come out. I remember being really excited, but to say that I remember a lot of the stories from it would be a complete lie. Like Transformers, Marvel UK's Transformers, I remember all those UK stories because they were so kind of a part of the lore.
Yeah,
it's fair to say that a lot of the UK stories, as much kind of thought that was put into them, they haven't really, I'm not going to say stood the test of time, but I think they're one of the kind of like the Ladybird books and maybe some of the American publications like books, not golden books, but like some of the other ones, they've just become a bit like forgotten. Kind of like what happened with the newspaper strips. They were right. Like uncovered by the fans, and then that became a dark horse book. Danielle, Val, they were like, right, let's turn this into something. But yeah, the UK comic, I've got a lot of fond memories of it. But if you said like, what are your favorite stories, I could probably count them on like one hand.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I'm kind of looking at it more of just you being present for this, because obviously people in the States aren't checking this out, and if there are around this time, it's probably few and far between. But you bring up a good point of saying that these feel largely forgotten about, along with Ladybird books and everything. And I think with this property as a whole, it kind of boils down to Filmation. Probably those first 4 mini comics are the most remembered. Those first couple of waves of action figures as well. I think like everything else, people don't.
I'd say the first, with regards to the mini comics, I'd actually argue that the first 4 mini comics are forgotten in the sense of not everyone was around for those. Like I didn't.
Yeah, that's true too.
I didn't know about the first 4 mini comics until the '90s, when people were talking about these early mini comics. I was like, what? No, the first mini comics were the Gary Conn, Mark Texeira ones, those 7 fantastic mini comics. So I'd kind of argue that the era of mini comics that's most remembered is sort of like those DC 7 mini comics, the Larry Houston ones, and then maybe like the Horde ones. I think the Bruce Timm Search for Keldor, as much as we love that story and everything, I think that's where, that's where people were checking out. So maybe not as remembered. But yeah, it is like you say, Filmation is remembered because it was so prominent. The action figures obviously are remembered, but like in terms of storytelling, yeah, like the Ladybird books are, I think, are fantastic stories. They're so atmospheric, and I think the problem with the UK comic always faces, and it's something we'll get into whenever we talk about these comics, is they've got, for the most part, for 5 pages to tell a complete story, start to finish.
Yeah.
And so they're doing so much heavy lifting, panel to panel, and sometimes like the story just kind of doesn't make sense. Where you're like, "What? How's? Oh, this has happened now. Okay."
And there's a lot of times too that I think, especially that we get here. One of the stories in issue 10 is part 3 that was used in issue 8 and issue 9. So I get why you're doing that, because you want, obviously, you want to finish the story. You got to come back. But at the same time, too, it does seem very disjointed with how they're presenting the stories along the way.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into that second story. It's like the Forgotten Army Part 3. But I mean, that you want to talk about heavy lifting. They're trying to tell like a 30-page comic in 5 pages, and it's ridiculous. It's like, it's the Elders, it's Hordak, it's this character. Like, what's going on?
Let's go ahead, and we will dive into that. You were mentioning that, so we have here on issue 10 every fortnight.
Do you know what made me laugh? When you were just saying about you're not sure how many people outside of the UK saw this. I noticed this has got like a $2 sticker on it, which may have been something that someone picked up and thought, "Oh, I'll price this up for my yard sale." But I was just like, I love the fact that we're looking at a UK comic with an American price. If it said Walmart, it'd be even better.
I mean, that would have been interesting, though. For once some of these start filtering over this way, and you're a kid and you see this new piece that had to be much probably like your reaction as a kid, just seeing this unknowingly walking in on the shelf one day.
I still remember where I was when I walked into a comic shop in London called Forbidden Planet, and I saw issue 10, the first time I'd ever seen an issue of the Star Comics. The episode, the comic is called Courage, and I was just like, oh my god, there's a Marvel He-Man comic, because obviously the Star Comics were their own brand. They weren't. You had to go to a specialist shop to see those. Yeah. So I just happened to be in this comic shop, and they just had issue 10 sitting in this like, £1 bin. I was just like, there's a He-Man comic. What? How many issues are there? There's obviously 9 before this. So stuff like that. So I could imagine for an American walking into a comic shop and seeing this, would be like, holy shit, what the fuck is that? I'd be like really kind of, excited. I remember this was, I'm not going to spoil the review, as it were, but I remember this being so disappointing because this cover was teased. I think it was the back end of issue 8 or 7. They would show sometimes the next issue, but in one thing they showed like the next 2 issues, and I think it was like 9 and 10. And so I saw this and I was like, oh my goodness, it's got to be Faker, right? Because you think He-Man versus Prince Adam, it's got to be Faker. How cool. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into that story, obviously. But one thing I should mention is that this is, I believe, I'd have to go back and check, and this is just completely off the top of my head, but I remember it resonating with me as a youth so much. It's the first time you see a fairly accurate Sword of Power drawing.
Oh, yeah.
In the issues before this, they would draw the sword, because they were all Spanish artists. It was very bizarre, written in the UK, illustrated in Spain. And they would draw the Sword of Power like really odd. It wasn't like the toy, it wasn't like the cartoon, it was like some weird mixture. And every artist seemed to draw it the same. And there was actually one artist who would always draw it like the toy, but almost like the toy dimension, so it didn't look quite right. But this was, I remember, one of the first times I was just like, oh, it's the Sword of Power. This is how it's supposed to look. So that was exciting for me. And then you get to the story and it looks nothing like it.
I've noticed that along the way is just the inconsistencies with how the sword is drawn throughout various pieces. Many comics, Golden books, Ladybird books, these comics.
Oh, I mean, like the
all
Star,
over the place.
When I did one of the videos on my channel, which like did a deep dive on the Star comics, I showcased on one kind of graphic Ron Wilson's. He was the one artist on that comic. How he would draw the Power Sword from page to page differently. And it's ridiculous. It's like, sometimes it would look like a little stubby like toy sword, like
right.
the kids could buy in the shop, and it's like, what's Ron Wilson doing? This is a guy who illustrated The Thing, It's
he's probably. I mean, he's probably just sitting there with the smoke in one hand. He's drawing. He's like, yeah, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about the Star comics, but that's a video for another time.
Masters toys to be won. So they make sure to put that like kind of at the top. That's interesting. The Faker strikes. Can He-Man save the City of Glass? Of course, we have here at the bottom, He-Man attacks Prince Adam. Who could it be? I don't know. Who could it be?
Who could it be? The Faker strike. And that's the funny thing about this issue. I noticed upon rereading it, they keep calling him the Faker, not just Faker. He's like, you will remember my name, the Faker. And it's like, oh, that's a bit weird. The Faker.
It's like Bret Hart couldn't call Goldberg just Goldberg. He always had to call him Bill Goldberg.
Oh, did he really? I never caught that.
I'll have to find you a YouTube video where he's cutting a promo. But yeah, we just call him Bill Goldberg.
Against Bill Goldberg, whether Bill Goldberg likes it or not. To good old Bill Goldberg.
Oh, that's good.
Of course, we have here, which is interesting because a little spoilers for you. We may be covering issue 35 here momentarily. We'll see how long this recording goes. But I noticed in issue 35 that this page either wasn't scanned for what I have digitally, or they removed this section entirely as it went on.
The editorial and the Orko, the Magician strip, I think ran until about, because obviously issue 50 is where they started using the German EHAPA comics. EHAPA? E-H-A-P-A. The German comics, when they started adapting those or translating those. So I know that I'm positive that the editorial ran up until that point, but they would still have, an issue off, as it were. So then I know for a fact, like I own issue 35 where you get that big She-Ra promotion, which we'll get into in that issue. But yeah, this it's quite funny growing up. I never read this page at all. I never bothered.
That makes total sense, because anytime that I would get video game magazines, I would always have that one page that would have the table of contents and have all the stuff. And I never looked at it because I'm like, I'm going to see that anyway. I kind of want to be surprised.
The funniest thing is about this, if you go into the scroll off the actual text, and this is like what I was missing out on, they talk about like these obviously He-Man events where there's going to be actors, probably in like shoddy costumes, but dressed up promoting He-Man in different toy stores around the country. And I'm like, I never read those. It's and you got to think, like, not to like disrespect myself, but I was reading the comics. I didn't care about like these editorial things. So it's like, how many other kids weren't reading the editorials?
Absolutely.
I'd look at the Orko strip at the bottom because it's like, oh, it's Orko. I like Orko. And it's funny.
It looks like a comic, but I totally understand that, because you look at this, it's like, as a kid, that's a lot of words. Like,
it's text heavy. That and the final page, which was always like brains, not brawn. I'd be like, no, I'm good. I just want to read the stories where He-Man fights evil. That's my cup of tea.
Orko's reading some Spooky Tales book right here, so. These
Orko strips were fun little things. There were some that were better than others. Like there's the one that always sticks in my mind was a much later strip where Orko's playing soccer, and someone goes Orko, and they kick in the ball, and it just goes under his coat, and that's it. That's the joke.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Like, it's good, but it's almost like a Garfield kind of thing, like the 3 panels, but it's just like Orko, and he's like, yeah, and then it just goes bloop, and that's it. It's just like, okay. Tyler's favorite depiction of Hordak, the mask.
I've in the UKs that I've covered in the past, I've always had an issue with how Hordak's drawn, but I will say, in this shot, he looks pretty good right here. Everything else is kind of, it looks all right, but right here, it looks really, really good.
Well, 100%, like the artists here are working off the Hordak model sheet, at least for the face.
Yeah.
Guarantee that. Obviously not for Leech or Mantenna or especially Grizzlor. The way Grizzlor is depicted in the UK comics, I always, even as a kid, I hated it. To me, it was so silly. You've got like Grizzlor in the cartoon was savage, more savage than Beastman to some degree, and the She-Ra cartoon, and then in this he's like this real oaf, and it's like they just completely got his character wrong. He wasn't threatening at all, and in issue 35, which we'll talk about at some point, he's in that story, and he's just made like the butt of a joke in that issue, and it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But again, we were talking before we started recording about these stories. we always start recording, but these stories do a lot of heavy lifting. In these first 3 panels, they do a good job of like, Hordak's got a thing. This is his plan. This is why He-Man's not going to be around. It's like boom, 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 and it's really well, like, because you think if this was a normal comic, this would be like 2 or 3 pages of it. You'd see Hordak obtaining the crystal. I have the crystal of crystals, whatever it's called, and then you'd work. If this was an episode of the cartoon, it'd be the same structure. You'd have Hordak finding the crystal, He-Man and Cyclone going off on a mission. Oh, we've been summoned to this thing or whatever. We've got to go. The palace will be all right in our absence. But obviously, you have to squeeze it into like the narrative. So Hordak's like, okay, this is why this is happening. This is why I'm stood here. Grislaw, this is, it's interesting how, like I say, 5 pages to tell an episode, basically.
Yeah, you would think that instead of having 3 separate stories per issue, they would just make it one big story. But I get it too, because you want to, as we mentioned, you got to keep the kids coming back. But Hordak has the crystal of crystals, so he's going to transform Eternians into glass, and he's going to threaten to shatter them unless He-Man just leaves Eternia entirely. And with He-Man gone, he'll use the antidote to change them back, maybe? No,
because he's Hordak.
Yeah, you're foolish. He's going to destroy everything anyway. So
exactly. Which is weird, because it's like, well, then what is your plan? Just to destroy everything? It's like, don't you want to like conquer the palace or something? I don't know. I thought this was interesting as well, and kind of it goes back to, I don't know why, like the panel of Modulok and Mantenna in the same shot here with Hordak. There's a reason it reminded me of when me, you, and Tyler did the tier list, which had all the Horde card backs, because Mantenna's role is that of a spy. But in this panel, Hordak's going, oh, don't worry, Modulok's spying for us. It's like, shouldn't the guy with the googly eyes that can see great distances, literally what he's doing there, be the guy spying? And so they've let so I didn't understand that, like the idea of Modulok being Soulmaster. I've watched Cyclone and He-Man travel out on the latest toys, produced by Mattel, because that's another thing as well. I should just a little overview of the UK comic from the very first issue. It's apparent that they will focus on the toys. Let me think, like the Horde, because the Horde had just come out in the UK, so that was like, we've got to push the Horde. But if you look at that first issue, it's kind of like it is the celebration of the Horde's arrival. And then you get the main characters throughout so many of the first 50 issues. It's usually Cyclone, Fisto, Roboto, Mossman gets so much screen time. It's comic time. It's ridiculous. And the villains are usually Too Bad, Spike. You rarely get Trapjaw, Triclops. Beastman is even quite rare. Evil Lynn, it's like, forget about it. She pops up in a few issues here and there, but she, they were clearly going, these are the characters you need to focus on. These not so much. So like you'll see in the next page, like He-Man and Cyclone in like the Bashosaurus and the Road Ripper, and it's like, oh yeah.
Well, okay. But where is the Horde mortar? Why didn't Mattel could have released the Horde mortar?
Yeah, so I thought a bit of a clumsy name. Yeah.
So he launches it over. It explodes far beyond above the city. Moments later, villainous vapor of deadly dust begins to settle. So phase 1 is complete. We move on to the next page. We see here that it's exploded above them. They're all starting to freeze and crystallize. And as you mentioned, here we go. There's Cyclone. Yeah. There's the vehicles by the toys.
Yeah, by the Bashosaurus. I couldn't stand the Bashosaurus. That was such a shit toy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I loved. I had the Road Ripper. I really enjoyed that as a kid. But the Bashosaurus was just like it just, I don't know. Something about it didn't appeal. I'm sure it did okay for Mattel. I'm sure they sold a few.
I'll have to show this part to Tyler, and he'll be like, "What are you talking about?" He did make a point, because I know you probably haven't watched that episode yet. He did make a point to correct himself about your opinion of the Christmas special.
Thank God. I don't want that getting out there. Like, oh yeah, James really likes it. I'm like, how dare you? How very dare you? I thought this was a really good point in the story where this is like really good writing, where the two of them are approaching their vehicles, and Cyclone's like, we better stop the engines because we're going to shatter it. And I was like, I like that. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, it is, but at the same time, too, it's like, oh, this is all that it would take to completely shatter everything. You would think that maybe it would crystallize to a point that it would harden a little bit more, that it wouldn't be as fragile. But
Yeah, because based on what Cyclone's saying, those engines are really loud. But I like the fact Hordak even goes, "Ha ha! You nearly killed everyone with your engines." It's like, can we stop talking about engines for 5 seconds?
but it's just the way that it's drawn, and he's standing here too. I know that it's not, but in a way, it kind of looks like he's just leaning against one of these trees. Just
That's so good. Yeah, like looking at his nails, like you're right.
So this is when Hordak says, like, you got to leave or I'm going to shatter everything. Cyclone saying, we can't desert our friends. He-Man, we have no choice. We'll use the teleport machine in Castle Grayskull to leave Eternia.
This is the thing. I never liked this idea, the way they used to draw Castle Grayskull's teleportation thing. It wasn't like a dimensional gate. They just drew this giant circle with ridges around the side. And it was, I get why they did that in a way, because it suits the style of Castle Grayskull. If you were to look at the exterior, it's stony, so the interior is going to be stony. But it's like, oh, come on, man. You should know that all the Sorceress has to do is whip up a dimensional gate. But I have to say, I love that pose of the Sorceress. That's so good. Like the way she's like, it's almost like, I don't know. There's something about it. It sort of reminds me of like 60s Barbie. Yeah,
like catalog kind of pose.
Yeah, it's the way it's like, who's she posing for? Like hands on hips kind of thing. And do you think she'd be going like, farewell, He-Man and Cyclone? Because He-Man's got, but like, because when they come back through, she looks surprised, like, He-Man, you've always got something up your sleeve, haven't you? Something up your cuff. Because He-Man comes back. I mean, it reads like a joke out of a Christmas cracker. I don't know. It's sort of like, we said we'd leave. You didn't say anything about coming back. So we're back already.
Yeah. So like, there is a good, well, maybe good's not the right word to use, but he makes a point to put it out there. It's like, oh, we said this, but we also didn't say this part, so we can just come right back.
I think it's one of those things like Brian Clark, who's the writer of these comics, I think, and is evident with every final page of the UK comic, was all about that whole brains not brawn thing, which is really good in the fact that he thought of He-Man as like this hero that would always go, okay, I could just beat the crap out of Hordak, or I could go like, okay, I'm going to listen to what you got to say, Hordak. Yeah, we'll leave Eternia, but we're going to come back. Or wouldn't it be great if he went to the other dimension? He's like, right, Cyclone, you stay here. I'm going to go back. And Cyclone's like, wait, what am I doing? He's like, no, you stay here, Cyclone, because at least one of us stays, because that's how we are. Cyclone's like, I don't want to stay. He's like, you stay. Just like, blab Cyclone and He-Man head. Sorceress is like, what happened to Cyclone? He's like, he was eaten. He got eaten by a monster. Sorry, Sorceress. Oh, well, poor Cyclone.
And we have to point out, much like we do when these have been covered in the past, it switches from color to black and white for budgetary reasons.
Which was more commonplace than probably Americans think. It was like so many UK comics at the time were obviously larger and glossy. The print quality of these are like gorgeous compared to a lot of the American comics at the time. If you look at Marvel and DC, when they would get reprinted, like I've said to you and Tyler before, the Secret Wars comics, they look glorious in the UK things because they've been reprinted on like that higher stock, and it's that quality paper that Marvel would use in their kind of trade paperbacks. It's like, hey, you want to read Walt Simonson's Better Ray Bill saga in great quality? Here's the trade paperback. It's like, oh, okay, so I think that was why they're printing on high quality stock, and these comics at the time sold in close to 100,000 easily. They were doing big numbers on these UK comics. It was I mean, the UK comic scene was huge back in the day. They'd had to switch to black and white for a bunch of pages, and then when they'd occasionally do the specials, everything would be in color. Same with Transformers as well. Transformers would do these things called collected comics, where they'd grab a bunch of UK issues and then color the actual pages that were black and white.
But also oftentimes too, and you pointed this out when you were showing Tyler and I some of the Hulk stuff, that some of the coloring they would make different choices for maybe a particular reason. It's like, oh well, the Hulk TV show is going on right now. Let's change this color and make it green.
Let's make one of the most famous Todd McFarlane Hulk Wolverine issues. Let's just completely butcher it.
It's so weird. But Hordak's saying at the moment, rocks such as these are among the most powerful weapons on Eternia, because Grizzlers asked him, "What are you doing with these rocks?" And Behold, any loud noise will shatter the glass and destroy Eternos. So a lot of using Eternos in here, referring to
The palace.
the palace and
Yeah.
everything. So it's interesting to see Eternos mentioned way more, because usually it's just Eternia,
Yeah, I'm going
Eternia,
to conquer
Eternia.
Eternia. Even the cartoon sometimes and numerous other things would be guilty of using. We're going to attack Eternia, as in the royal palace.
Mhm.
It was almost like certain writers. I think like Larry DiTillio would always remember Eternos and be like, yeah, that's Eternos. So yeah, the palace. But I do, when I was rereading this today, I really like the idea of this is like a really good use of Cyclone's spinning abilities. Is that he creates like a vacuum here where he, basically turns it into outer space. He creates a vacuum around the Horde. So, I mean, technically they're going to die because they can't breathe, which I think He-Man addresses. He even says like, it'll only be a brief time or something. you'll only think you're going to die for a few moments. But the idea that, yeah, He-Man, Cyclone creates this vacuum so the Horde can't, make a noise, as it were. And then He-Man just happens to use the antidote that Hordak had. It's like, why even have the antidote if you're not going to use it? It's
Right.
That's the only thing that didn't make sense about the story. Hordak says at the beginning, I'm going to kill everyone anyway. And it's just like, well, then why have an antidote?
Right.
You could just hold a glass of orange juice to him or a tube of orange juice to him and say, I've got the antidote right here.
I mean,
He-Man
it's just
fires it, and it's
just a way to show the Horde mortar again. But here's what you were talking about with He-Man saying Cyclone's vacuum won't last long enough to cause any real harm to them.
Yeah, no brain damage. It cuts to later, and Hordak's like, my head hurts. It's like, oh dear, Cyclone.
But I do agree with you on that. It's
a really good use of his power. It's like really clever. I was just like, I love that. Rather than he can spin around fast.
Yeah, I like this. Flops.
Flops. I didn't see that before. Flops. Kablam.
So there goes the antidote into the city, and no, He-Man's defeated me once again. Within moments, the city and its inhabitants have returned to normal, as Hordak soon finds out.
I like the pose of He-Man there. He's just like, look, if you want to bring it, the sort of power's coming out. So, and the way the heroes are charging, it's a really nice looking panel of like the Horde running away and He-Man and Cyclone being like, yeah, it's like 3 stages of action. Bit of dead space in between He-Man and the rushing heroes. But no, I like that a lot. And Hordak, yeah, he's running away. But that kind of last panel, I wrote in my notes, that's like a real good summary of the UK comic. It's like, here are the characters that we're always going to focus on. You're going to have He-Man and Man-at-Arms, but you're also going to have Cyclone, Mossman, and Roboto every single issue. So why?
I'm kind of surprised that there's not little tiny text above. It's like now available in stores above.
Yeah, it's
Mossman, Cyclone, and everything.
Buy them now.
But it says here, next issue, Skeletor's war moves to the air. So
I think I remember that story. Yeah, he has these like creatures that have little Skeletor emblems on their chests, and it's like, oh, I wonder who could be behind this. Just like, yeah.
All right, James. Now on to my favorite part of these magazines, the Master Mail.
Yeah.
Would you like to read from Eric and Michael here?
Oh yeah, I forgot we do this, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes. Dear Scrollos, my brother and I are puzzled as to how Moduloc had 2 heads in The Legend of Grayskull. I think that was from issue 1, and 1 head in Hordak's Assault. Can you explain this?
That's a valid question. That is a good question.
A good question, lads, because it's Eric and Michael. Good question, lads. Moduloc is an alien being with a very unusual body. That just sounds like body shaming. He can separate limbs and body. And rejoin himself into many different shapes. Sometimes he has 2 heads, other times 4 legs. On occasion, he can even have no head.
No, boy.
I mean, that is true, actually. We have seen panels where it's just like a pair of legs and a pair of arms. It's like, well, what is that? So, yeah. Dear Scrollos, I think I've noticed a mistake in your comic. How dare you? You can imagine Brian Clark reading this going, oh yeah, bring it on, clever dick. In the glove of Globular, which is brilliant. Like Aidan Cross, when he interviewed Brian Clark revealed that the Globular, because I was like, the glove of Globular, as a kid, it was always like a weird name, like Globular. There was a very famous in the UK British, maybe South African South African goalkeeper that played soccer that was named Bruce Grobbelaar. And so he had the big Bruce Grobbelaar gloves on. So this guy, Brian Clark, created the glove of Globula. And I was like, oh, I love that. I think that's a really cute little reference. In that story, you show Mantenna with 4 legs instead of 2. Please tell me if I'm mistaken or if you are. Oh, that's a bit...
Man, all of these kids are just like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
All these extra heads and limbs, and now they're gone, or there's more present. What's up?
Exactly. Yeah. How dare you? So, Lee, I'm sorry, Lee, but the mistake is yours. I love that. You imagine Brian Clark writing that going, you little...
Yeah, he just says basically a big middle finger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mantenna has 4 legs. Sometimes it looks as if he only has 2, but if you look closely at the doll, I love the fact he calls the toy the doll. That's so insulting.
Yeah, it is.
That was
very
the day
insulting.
that Lee stopped playing with toys. But if you look closely at the doll in the shops, you will see it has 2 legs. Oh, he's even shaming Lee. You don't even own Mantenna. You have to go to the shops to look at Mantenna with your poor parents.
So by issue 10, he's already done with everyone's shit.
Oh, he's like, I can't take these little fuckers anymore. Dear Scholars, I'm sure your comic is the best one around. You're sure my comic is the best one around? Can you tell me if Scorpion and Shadow Weaver are joining the Horde? Why doesn't Skeletor create a spell to stop He-Man entering Castle Grayskull? Daniel Belbin, Hampshire.
Well,
I'm glad you like our
those action figures aren't coming out, so we can't.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad you like our comic, Dan. Scorpio and Shadow Weaver will be appearing in our new comic, She-Ra. You'll be able to read some exciting news about this comic in the next issue of Masters of the Universe. Your other question will be answered in a future story. I've got to say this about the letters page. The amount of times, and I understand why you'd have to do this. I mean, I do it in my YouTube comments, my video, where I'm like, oh, stay tuned for a future video. And it's like, will I ever do that video? The UK comic would always say, this is great thing for a future video and a future story. And it's like, those stories never happen. I was like, oh, dear scholars, please put a poster in your great comic. This would make Masters of the Universe even better. Carl Halfpenny. An excellent idea, Carl. Issue 12 already has a special free gift, so you'll have to wait until number 13. Oh, I actually remember I remember what poster it was now. Let me know what you think when you see it. It's the, I think it came with the vehicles, I think, and play sets. It was the big poster, very bright colors, and it was like a checklist of the characters, like Prince Adam, He-Man, and it was each character stood there with like a little box behind them. It's quite a famous poster. It's just like photos of the action figures, and then it was double-sided, so on the reverse was like the vehicles and play sets. But I think it was an official poster, and it came with the vehicles. But I think the UK comic got like a less folded version, put it that way, because they only had to fold it a few times for the comic. Whereas the one that came with the vehicles was always like, folded 900 times. Well, it's a poster here somewhere. Yeah. It's almost like an accordion. Like,
I'm kind of surprised though that they just didn't. It's like, oh, those posters that came with the US magazine. Let's just repurpose those and put them in here. I'm surprised they didn't do that.
I mean, obviously, when it got to issue, I want to say 50 onwards, and especially with the Adventure magazine, they would start repurposing a lot of the. I haven't studied the origins of them enough, but they're these gorgeous, really weird and creative Spanish artist paintings that I think were for the UK comic, because as I said earlier, like the artists that worked in this comic were all freelancing in Spain or at this Spanish studio. So you get these really gorgeous posters that pop up in like a lot of the later issues. And they also started in some of the, probably again about issue 40 onwards, they started using the Errol McCarthy cardback artwork or licensee artwork as posters, or like just pin-ups that you could tear out of the comic and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
The Forgotten Army Part 3. So we're gonna dive into the end, but to kind of catch it up to speed, which I'm glad that they did this.
Thank goodness, yeah.
He-Man, Cyclone, and Mossman.
What a surprise!
in stores now, together with Skeletor and a few of his evil henchmen, have been sent back in time by Polk, a powerful magician. They have returned to a time on Eternia before Grayskull has been built. The sinister Skeletor has used his powers to make the Elders disappear in a terrible explosion. Ancient Eternia is now almost helpless.
As opposed to those good explosions,
Oh man. Hey, there's Evil Lynn. Kind of
Yeah,
hanging
there
out
she
the
is.
back.
Oh, she pops up in like here and there, but even Merman's a rarity as well.
Oh,
So
we
yeah,
got Spike
again,
right?
we mentioned at the start of this kind of review of this comic. This story does so much heavy. It's a story that it's the third part of a three-part story, so it's already got a lot to do. Not only that, it's trying to tell a story that should be one single issue. This should be like an issue, like 25-page comic or something, because there's so much going on in these panels. Every panel is like exposition, and I've got to do this. I like the fact Roboto says I'm downloading the information. It's like, oh, check out Future Roboto.
That stuck out to me a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, this has to be one of the first instances of saying something like downloading information.
Yeah,
Anywhere.
this would have been 86 or something like that. I'm sure there's probably like, I feel like Star Trek would have been doing it because they
Yeah,
were like
maybe.
always ahead of the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
1966.
There's probably season 2, episode 23.
Issue 32 of Guardians of the Galaxy in 1970s. I'm like, I don't remember that, but yeah, it did stand out to me. I was just like, oh, downloading, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, as you said, it's nice to see Roboto here, and then the Elders of Eternia, putting some faces to not even names, but just faces.
The UK comic did a really good job of like that Masters of the Universe lore. They probably better than any other canon in the 1980s, even more so than Filmation. Like Filmation stuck to their kind of era of like, here's how the Sorceress came to be. We're not going to touch upon how Prince Adam got the powers of He-Man, but we're going to, they had a very kind of, they had a window there. The UK comic were like, well, let's go back to the very start. How did Castle Grayskull come to be? And it's the Elders were these like awesome group of guys that, united their power and, for the greater good created Castle Grayskull and stuff. And eventually, they gave as we will find out in issue 35, gave Prince Adam his powers. But they designed each of these characters. Like you see these guys in the very first panel, I think, of the very first issue. And the main one, the big beardy guy, Keklar, they nearly turned him into, I think, a Classics figure, or maybe it was an Origins figure.
Okay.
Where they had a prototype at like a New York Comic-Con or a San Diego Comic-Con. It was one of these things where, do you want to vote for this thing or this thing? And like, I don't think Keklar won the vote, which is a shame. But it's like, yeah, I mean, it's a very, if they're not making a figure of Malaktha, then they're not going to make one of Keklar. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, but also too, if that ever came again to like a vote, it's like which one would you want? Malaktha, of course, is.
Oh yeah, Malaktha.
But you got to go with.
Yeah, of course.
But no, I really appreciate seeing more of this between reading the stories in this, and then in issue 35, seeing the Elders. I'm like, okay, it's nice to get a little more, as you said. You're used to just, it's the Sorceress in this. We'll kind of leave everything up to your imagination. Just it might passing mention of this, but it's cool to actually see them here.
Yeah, I think the thing I also like about the Elders is they all have, like I say, unique designs. It's like they thought was put into them. I can imagine there's like a piece of artwork that was created somewhere by the Spanish artists of like, these are the Elders. We've got this guy, that, just like not like a turnaround or anything like that, but just so that everyone could always reference them. Although in fairness, I think it was always this artist who was the main one that would, I forget his name now, Jose Luis, I think I forget. I don't want to butcher someone's name, but he only passed away a few years ago, I believe. And he was like a very prominent Spanish artist. It's quite funny when I grew up with him just illustrating Masters of the Universe. Then you see him doing other comics when you go on like Google with images and see like, and he's like, oh, that's the same artist, but he's not drawing He-Man. It's bizarre when you see that. It's like, oh, how weird. But I always liked his art.
I like here how Roboto says, no, you're in Hulk's Dark Dimension. Let me explain. And then as Roboto finishes the story, for the full story, go see issues 8 and 9. So that is where you'll find parts 1 and 2. So you'll find farts in issues 8 and 9. But blam, they get attacked. We get Too Bad here with Mossman. And Mossman saying, I'll use my power over plants to command this tree to trap Too Bad in its branches. So we're just getting this big schmoz between He-Man,
I think this
his
is one of the
skills
first
were
times as well we get the behind the scenes names, which Filmation eventually created just to figure out which head was talking, which is Blue Head and Yellow Band, which is two bads, two names, and so that's like he calls like Purple Yellow Band there says something like it's all your fault or Blue Head.
Oh yeah,
Or
Blue
whatever
Head.
he says. Yeah, so he referenced, I think that's the first time you hear the name referenced. I think that it happens in like a letters page. And then eventually when they do the secret files of Scrollos and they do like a thing about the villains, that's the first time I remember seeing it, even though it obviously appeared beforehand. So, oh, Blue Head and Yellow Band. Interesting.
Uh, Once again, with these UK stories, sometimes I feel like the characters are too slim.
Yeah, I
compared.
heard you say this the other day. Yeah, like yeah, I know what you mean in a way. Like I still don't have a problem with it. I never did, but I can appreciate what you're saying. It's I mean, especially I think that panel is a prime example when you look at it. Like He-Man's head should be shrunk ever so slightly. The interesting thing I looked at about those two panels is I was questioning whether or not, because this is the issue I talked about where they redid the sword. I wonder if they redrew the sword here because the way he's holding the sword in both panels just looks really weird. And I thought to myself, I wonder if they like went, they went back in and kind of pasted over what the sword should look like. Because this artist before was like the one that would draw the sword of like this real kind of heavy base bit and then circular bits going up. And then here suddenly he's drawing like a perfect or near perfect power sword.
Yeah, because if you take the sword out, the pose still makes sense. So
Yeah,
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 you're right. It could have very well been inserted.
yeah,
In there
inserted
like
or they pasted over like the original. But yeah, He-Man's like fighting the bannies, and now we're back with Robot and the Elders having a chat, and it's like, don't worry, I've got It becomes quite weird. It's like as soon as Roboto summons the Elders, it's like, oh, I can literally take care of this without even batting an eyelid. Because
yeah.
Keklar uses like the power of Grayskull to like create a force shield, and then in the next page to like banish the armies. And it's just like, oh, so the Forgotten Army was. There's a reason it's forgotten. It's because it was pretty crap.
Yeah, and just to emerge from this pyramid
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
it's yeah. But I do like this shot a lot.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like again, there's each of those characters has like a design, like the Forgotten Army have all like individually designed as well. There's a lot of work going into these panels. And I always like the way the artist would draw the elders, or like as we see in issue 35 with the origin of He-Man, these like weird magical parts where he'd do like lots of like intricate background design, and it was yeah, I really like it. But yeah, here we go. It's just like there's a Polk, the baddie, who looks like
Yeah.
just like the Havoc staff come to life. He's got the old ram horns, unless he's doing a Princess Leia and we didn't realize. It's just like, what do you think of my little yellow buns? It's like, okay.
I mean, he does look pretty gnarly though, having that. He's got the teeth and his sharp fingernails and everything.
But it's how quickly he's disposed here. I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
I don't remember the story ending this quickly. And he obviously, like a classic villain, he narrates his death. It's like, oh no, they're evaporating the army.
James,
oh, no.
we're on page 4 or 5 of this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like and breathe. But it's again like if you look at that last panel there of that page, I love the way this artist would always draw kind of magic and stuff like that. There was like lots of little details he put in. I was always very appreciative of it.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Because I mean, even here when you have the coming out of their faces,
their eyes, yeah, their eyeballs. Yeah. So Polk is defeated. Farewell, Polk. We literally hardly knew you. And they evaporated, and the heroes, and Robot was like, so what do we do now? And Keklar's like, by the power of Grayskull. So yeah, it makes sense that he would be able to say that. I remember as a kid thinking that was like a really cool panel because it's like, wow, that's someone other than He-Man saying like the line.
I mean, as he should. And of course, Roboto, I'll just use the time scope in the pyramid. I'll be right back.
Thank God for that. And then, everybody's sort of like back to where they were. I'm just like, I think if I remember rightly, like with a little recollection of anything, or at least Skeletor is.
I mean, you would kind of hope maybe that you would come back and not, what happened? I can't remember.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I think the story pretty much wraps up after this, doesn't it? Is there one more page?
Oh, there is one more page.
There
Oh,
is
yeah.
one more page. Oh yeah, because then we get the. It's like, what about the Horde? It's like, don't worry, I'm going to do something off panel that completely you have to be caught up with it. It's just like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Yeah. So Hordak has a drill that
Drill, yeah.
yeah, that he's wanting to
From what I
use.
understand here is that without him knowing, his drill was transported into this swamp, and everybody's like, well, I don't know how it got here. And so Hordak's like, yeah, I've no idea how the drill got here, but we're going to get in it. And then the drill doesn't work because of the elders, because of magic. And then, then it's like, well, I guess we're just going to want such a strange end to the issue.
I know, right?
Just like the Horde despondently walking through. Like, what does Leech say? He says like some invasion that turned out to be.
Yeah.
It's like, look at Leech. Even Leech is like, what was the point of this? I don't understand it. We're way off course, and it's going to take a long time to walk home. Something here has gone wrong somewhere.
The end.
Yeah. Next, Skeletor's school.
It says here at the bottom, as we saw in issue 8. So this is just a whole issue went by, and part 2, no drill mentioned. So we just come back to that, and that's how.
Yeah, remember that time? Yeah. Well, actually, I remember that was. So I used to do a He-Man and She-Ra blog in 2006 to about, I think it was like 2013. I did this blog, like near daily blog. It was a lot of work, as you can imagine, but it was a lot of fun to do when blogs were a thing. One of my earliest posts was from the first part of the Forgotten Army, so issue 8, and I've just remembered this, and I said, so I think I called it like summarizing a battle, because it's a picture of He-Man kicking Hordak, and it's like this huge speech bubble of He-Man saying like, well, thank God we stopped Hordak from invading with his drill machine, blah, blah. It's like everything in this one bubble with He-Man just kicking Hordak's bum. It's just like, wow, that kind of snuck up on us. So that's fun.
Yeah, just 5 to 6 pages, not enough, especially even in a third part of a story to get it.
Oh yeah, if you were to put those 3 parts together, it would still feel like
you were shortchanged a little bit.
Yeah.
Your chance to get all of this free. So hey,
I only ever entered one of these. It was issue 2, I think, or 3. I think it was issue 2, and you could win. It was Thunder Punch, He-Man, Dragon Blaster, Skeletor, Cyclone, and maybe Robotor, Mossman. But I remember, it was Spycore. And I remember I entered the competition. I was so determined to win. Never won. Never entered the competition again. Never even joined the Masters Universe Club that they advertised in the back of like pretty much every issue.
Really?
I don't know why. It's really like Aiden did. A few other people, UK fans I've known over the years did. It's just like I never signed up for the club. It was strange.
You were just too bummed out that you didn't win the contest.
I think I was. I was butthurt. I was like, I think as well, like I say, at that point, Master Universe was still very important to me. But like I say, there was like Transformers comics, and Real Ghostbusters was about to, well, no, actually, that was a couple of years later. But there was so much happening that, as you know, it was like kind of hard to digest everything. And so I think like, I must join the Master Universe Club was like way down on my list.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like for me, seeing this stuff, yard sales, flea markets, a little bit probably in stores, probably checking out a couple of episodes of Filmation. But by that point, G.I. Joe, Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles was right around the corner for me. So all of that just took precedence over anything else. But if you could name all the characters in this shot, you could win them all and just mail them here. The first 10 correct entries will receive all that stuff. So I'm kind of curious, like how fast they got those 10 correct.
Yeah, I reckon. I based on like, I know their sales figures were huge. They must have had, I reckon, a good, at least 1,000 entries or something like that. So here we go.
Yeah, our third and final story: When Strikes the Faker.
The Faker.
Yeah, for weeks.
I was going.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the opening, the premise, which you were about to read before I interrupted, it reminds me very much of what like the original. There was like a bunch before like Filmation worked on the series. They wrote a bunch of like premises, like just I think it was Paul Dini and Robbie London just sat there and wrote a bunch of premises, and one was called Faker, and that was going to be the episode, just Faker, one word. And it was pretty much the same plot. It was like when villages are attacked by He-Man, people like they have to try and get to the bottom of it, kind of thing. And I think that's like the same premise. And I think this borrows a lot from the Filmation. I guess you'd call it a licensee guide or a promo book, where it described Faker pretty much as he's written in this, or they wrote that based on this, where it's sort of like, I'm an evil duplicate of He-Man. My look only lasts a short amount of time, but I can trick people during that time into thinking. Because Faker's what, as I've talked about numerous times, Faker's one of those characters that so many people just don't get, and even if they get it, people have different opinions of what he is supposed to be. So yeah, it's he's intriguing. But in this one, the UK comic was not my favourite depiction of Faker by a long shot, as we'll get into.
But I do like the concept here that Skeletor's dispatched Faker out there to kind of put the distrust of He-Man amongst the villagers. Yeah. I like that idea a lot. That we're going to besmirch He-Man's name just to turn the people against him. So he's chucking rocks, selling flee, puny creatures. Nothing can stand against the might of He-Man. I will destroy everything that gets in my way. Absolutely everything. At this point, Adam Duncan are here. Faker chucks a boulder their way. They dive into the water. And it gets me thinking about when Tyler and I did that episode of MYP. It's like, oh man, Man at Arms is riding on his Sea-Doo, and he's in peril again. Just seeing Duncan in the water just makes me think
there was a point in those early episodes where Man at Arms was always being chased by a giant green fish or something, wasn't there? It's just like, oh, Man at Arms is in trouble again.
Yeah.
Bless him.
So
but we get, I think, one of the last instances of I Am the Power.
Yeah.
But because they did that for the first, and I think it was issue 13, where that was the first time you see a panel where he says, I have the power. It's like, oh, finally they got it right. So yeah, I don't know how it was allowed. Even if someone misheard it, I don't know how it was allowed to. I'm sure Aidan, when he interviewed Brian Clark, covered this. I'd have to go back and look at that interview, because I'm sure Brian Clark explains, like, I think it might be, I might be completely wrong about this, so check out Aidan's UK comic website. It may be a case of Brian like misheard, like, oh, I have the power. Just went, oh, I am the power. Okay, we'll go
Brian's
with that.
Just like, don't worry about it. You are wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Some kid going, why in the UK comic does he say I am the power? And it's like, shut up. As he goes to Scroll's reply, shut up, kid.
But the rest of the story is pretty much, it's just like, bam, we're off, we're going, and it's just going to be He-Man against Faker here.
The Faker.
Oh yeah, the Faker. Sorry.
Allow me to introduce. I am the Faker.
Yeah, Bill Goldberg.
Bill Goldberg. Yeah. Oh, he gave He-Man a concussion. That sucks. We'll forever be calling him that. Here he goes. He gets.
This is just fun to see.
Yeah, it's just a test.
Back and forth. Yeah.
But there's something ironic about this, as we'll get into as the pages go, is that this is the story they chose to do in black and white.
Right.
Like when we get to the reveal, it's like, oh right, okay. So yeah, I mean, in color this would have been, the same color He-Man, but there's no doubt about that. But then when you get into the reveal, like He-Man has to explain what's going on.
Yeah.
The one thing, like, I think you'll appreciate talking about here is this. I don't want to sound horrible, but like, out of all the UK comic artists or Spanish artists doing the UK comic, this was like my least favorite of the artists. I always felt his stuff was quite stiff, even though I didn't hate the style. It just, everything, I guess, when you think of comic books, you think, at the most, like your John Buscema's or your Kirby's or your Bruce Timms or Larry Houston's, if you bring it into the world of He-Man. There's like all these action-packed panels, and like it just all feels very flat. Like I've got this, I'm going to push him over here. And
there is like just a static frozenness to.
If you look at the panels, there's no like angles or anything. It just feels very flat. It's not like a dramatic, Dutch angle or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's the reveal, and the way they do it is like He-Man has to tell you that Faker's blue. So okay, thank God for that. I actually, when did I do it? For a video on my channel. I'm sure I've put it out already. I forget which one it was. I coloured this panel to make it look like a UK comic panel, and it was like, I could feasibly colour these panels. It was the Maybe we'll throw it into the edit, like right now.
The UK Masters of the Universe comic was a much celebrated and long-running piece of Masters of the Universe lore. Depending on the artist, we would sometimes see toy-accurate versions of the characters, and sometimes we would see Filmation-accurate versions of the characters. And I can say that for the most part, the colours were often correct. Well, except Faker, but then who knew what to do with that guy?
Look at this.
I could do that. We'll do that.
Wait, here we go.
When I was reading this part though,
Yeah.
just this is where my brain went. So when he tosses him in there, let's hope this ducking cools him down.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
Did they mean dunking? Like I'm dunking him? Like dunk
maybe.
tank?
I was about to ask you if like ducking was like a slang term for like a pond or a swamp or something.
No, like I when I saw that I was like ducking. So that's a very strange, yeah. And so and their Faker says, "Oh, the spell's beginning to wear off," and it's like, look, he's blue and very evil looking. He just looks like drunk.
It was like it looks like Boris Karloff or something.
Oh my god, that's an amazing Paul. That is amazing. That looks exactly like Boris Karloff.
Yeah,
that's scarily good.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great shout. That's amazing. He looks exactly like Boris Karloff. Oh wow!
But yeah, just going back to that, it is amusing that this is the one that's going to be more so. And
you can see what the artist is doing. It's like, right, he's blue, so I'm just going to give him more spot blacks on him, kind of thing. When I'm coloring him, and it's like, yeah, we can. But it's still, you think this should have been the middle story in full color, considering that I think one of the previous issues of the Forgotten Army was color page and then black and white and then color, whereas so this could have been the second story in truth, but yeah, they decided that this is the black and white one. And don't worry, because he's blue and very Boris Karloff looking,
and he's gonna put He-Man in a wrestling hold.
He is. I didn't even clock. Yeah, good shout. He's gonna get him up for a suplex.
Either that DDT. Or I was gonna say he's just gonna drop him with the DDT.
He's gonna Jake the Snake in.
Yeah.
Want to play 21, He-Man?
Man,
look at that bush frozen against. But like there, if you just look at the way, like the pickup illustration is good, but just the throw, it just looks quite like I don't know. I don't quite. The art doesn't make me go, "Oh, what a shot!" And then we get into He-Man keeps trying to go like, tell me your story. He's like, I don't want to.
Who do you work for?
Yeah, I wonder who it could be.
But I am beatable. You cannot win. I cannot fail. I can't. But you have failed, the Faker. Yeah, I mean, definitely. There's no the there. He just
no, but he may as well. Yeah. I reckon they base Faker's face off Boris Karloff. Look at that one. It's just. Like
this is like when Frankenstein's monster sees the flame kind of thing.
It's really that's like a scare. Like even when you scroll down to the next one, like that close up, there's an element there where they've. I swear to God, that the artist was pulling from Boris Karloff. Yeah. It just feels like the kind of thing that artist would do at that time. This artist would probably have, seen a lot of Karloff movies in like the 60s or 70s and be like, he's got to look evil. Okay, I'm gonna Karloff him up.
But I do like here the Faker chucks this rock saying, I can't fail. If He-Man just smashes it, it's like, all right, you know what? I'll tell you everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now to hide.
Now you will hear my origin.
Yeah.
And like I say, this origin is very much like, the origin, I should say, the backstory is very much like what you'd see in the Filmation guide. And then they didn't end up using that for Faker anyway. But yeah, I can copy your exact, what does it say? Exact
shape for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
But then I revert to Boris Karloff.
Yeah. But this kick as well, like, look how flat that looks.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the kind of, and it doesn't make sense. Like, He-Man needs to be about 2 feet over to make that, like, look like it connected. But, just not my favorite cup of tea.
The Faker.
Yeah, you remember my name, the Faker.
Yeah, kicks
him. Like, what about if I just call you Faker? It's like, don't do that. Yeah, and then you see this, and it's like, oh, that's the color scheme they were going to go with. It's like really weird. It's just like, oh, so he's He-Man, except for he just has blue skin, so everything else is the same color. It's But yeah, I don't think they kind of read the licensee guide right because yeah,
And
he should
I mean, I guess the harness is still supposed to be silver, but it almost just looks
because it's
blue.
offset. Yeah, because it's
Yeah,
offset
because of
with
the way.
the
Yeah.
yeah. But like even that throw, look at the way he's throwing it, and then here's something. I remember like John Byrne. The reason he left Uncanny X-Men in the '70s was because he couldn't stand the fact that Chris Claremont would have 8 balloon dialogues for one piece of action. There was this famous shot of it was like a splash page of Colossal pulling out this thing from the ground, and there was all this speech bubble about like blah 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 blah, and John Byrne's like, you don't need all that dialogue for this one action. And here you've got He-Man going like, Faker's chucked this boulder, but He-Man has time to say, the Faker is blah 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 blah. I shall do this. It's like, Jesus Christ, is the boulder only just landing as you're delivering all this dialogue? And then we get He-Man just dropping the fact that he's Prince Adam in front of Fisto, which I think, if I remember rightly, one UK comic fan addresses it in a future issue, and I think, if I remember rightly, I think Scroller says Fisto was too far away to hear. It's like, Fisto's not deaf. He's got one hand, one that's metal, but I don't think he was.
Maybe he's deaf in his left ear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was like, Faker's a weird. Fisto's a weirdo.
I mean, even this guy back here probably.
Yeah, he's like, he's gonna step back to Prince Adam. So there we go, and then we get the.
I wonder if Skeletor will use Faker again. Well, this time around, you seem to easily beat him. Yes, but what if Skeletor makes him stronger? Somehow I have a feeling he'll be returning for a rematch, and then he never does.
No, he does.
Oh,
Faker,
he does?
Faker does come back, and it's the most confusing story ever because Faker turns up dressed like Prince Adam.
What?
Yeah, in Faker's... oh, my God, you don't know this. In Faker's true form, he's Prince Adam. And then he just says, like, time for me to turn into the Faker. And then he becomes the color scheme of He-Man. But prior to that, he's wearing Prince Adam's clothes. And it's like, right, so, and I think, again, one of the UK comic pages, someone was like, does this mean Faker? No. I think, again, I'm 100% right on this. Aidan did ask Brian Clark about this and say, like, hey, why was this? And I think Brian Clark gave a pretty good, dodging the minefield answer kind of thing. It's like, that kind of makes sense. But yeah, it's really weird. He returns. And, we talked about before about that Hulk comic I showed you and Tyler, where there was the intentional color change and then all those misprinted pages. Of all issues, the Faker return, the first few pages are completely miscolored. So Faker's purple, is he purple or yellow with purple hair? It's all over the place. It's like, oh no, it's a real nightmare. So yeah, we'll get to that issue one day.
But next issue, can He-Man rescue Hordak's captives?
My guess is yes.
And then
Enid Blyton, the old adventure book. I tell you what, I like. One of my earliest Instagram posts, if people were to go back to like 2015, was this next page of He-Man in his white pants. Because I was always just like, oh, it's like a variant that Mattel are just waiting to get their hands on. It's like yellow and green belt, white armor, and white pants. It's like, oh, Snow Attack He-Man or something.
Hey, don't worry. And origins of this coming to Target very soon to Pegwarm, and then later be clearance in a couple of months.
And you need the toy in your life because it's the best toy ever. So yeah, I was never a big fan of Brains Not Brawn because I'm stupid, but I was just like, I don't want to read this.
Well, this one's complicated anyway because it is.
What is it? I didn't actually look at it.
So it's a mixture. So it's like, find the character name, but each one of them is also missing a letter. So that makes it harder, which I guess I can kind of appreciate. But at the same time, too, don't put the answers immediately below. Maybe on a page or two away.
That is, yeah.
But yeah. Take a look at the list and see if you can find the mystery name from the jumbled letters. Remember, if you see 5 letters, it means you're looking for a 6-letter name. So my bad. They're not all missing a letter. It's only if there are only 5, it's supposed to be 6. But even then, it's like that. What are you doing?
Yeah, it was just probably. I wouldn't be surprised if by including this page they got some sort of like tax cut or something. It's like in the UK, comedy shows would sometimes include a band because then they could they'd get a higher budget, and they would be because they would, instead of just being a comedy show, they would be they could get the budget of a variety show because they had a band on. So it's like that's quite a clever trick. So the UK comic could probably budget for, oh, we're an educational comic because we have a learning bit at the back.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's a good way to do that. But
Yeah.
Next Pulse Pounding issue on sale 14th of August. So
see He-Man confused as he rides Night Stalker into battle.
yeah, what?
Wait, what? Yeah, exactly. What?
Interesting.
But again, look at that sword. It's like, right, guys, we know how to draw the sword now.
It's almost as big as He-Man here.
It is. That's a mighty impressive sword.
It's very much like that teaser photo we got of our new live action He-Man, where the sword's pretty much as big as he is.
I think even I can't say anything because that'd be inappropriate. A little person would be bigger than that guy was. I shouldn't say that. I'm sure it's going to be a great movie.
Yeah, here's the Masters Club that James never joined.
Never joined it. Look at it.
I mean, it seems fairly inexpensive.
Inexpensive, and you got some really cool stuff as well. And they gave you a name. Like some people in the early days of the He-Man forums actually used the names that were given to them by the Master Universe Club, but which led to a few duplicate names because it turns out they didn't have many names to give to the kids. You shall be Flabdor or something, you know. Oh, wicked.
I do kind of wonder, though, the exact number of how many names that they did have.
Yeah, I
that they cycled through.
Well, and also how many people joined the club.
That too.
Yeah. But so that was issue 10 of the Masters of the Universe comic.
So as we wrap that one up, it gets me thinking. Out of the stories, which one was your favorite?
I think the first one, to be honest. I think the Glass City of Glass was it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was. I liked it because it felt like you could turn that into an episode. My brain always thinks like that. It's like, oh, that's fair. Expanded could turn into an episode. The Forgotten Army is a truncated mess. And the Faker one is literally just like, hello, tell me your origin. The end.
See ya.
Yeah. So I think the first one was probably my favorite. What about yourself?
I would go with the first one as well, but I can really appreciate the middle story and once again, the Forgotten Army and seeing the elders.
I think the artwork in the second story is really nice because it's all in color, so that helps. But that's I was just thinking, like, what's my favorite illustration from that issue? And I've got to say, without a shadow of doubt, that sorceress pose. I just love the way she's like, chill, bitches. You know, the way she's just watching them go into the portal. I love that illustration.
That probably was the best one. And granted, Hordak drawn way better in this one than what I've seen in previous.
Yeah, it's quite issues. Funny. Like I say, until kind of Tyler was saying it looks like a mask, and then I went back and looked. I was like, yeah, those first bunch of issues, I'm sure they do. Well, like all art evolves, you know. Like I say, the Sword of Power changes. So I'm thinking, off the top of my head, does Hordak's design start to look a little bit more reined in, as it were, and less like, hello everybody, you know? So I'll have to look into that. Well, I suppose we will as we go further into these UK comics. Lord.
Yeah, I've brought James along for this ride. Tyler gets the pass because he's like, "There's no way." So I'm like, "All right."
It is a shame because, like, it's probably like I get why Tyler refuses to talk about them because it's like, well, why would you talk about something you didn't like? But it's like I still feel that I hope Tyler watches this. So I can say to him, "You're an asshole, Tyler." No, so you can look back and go like, "Oh, there was actually something beneficial in here," and see opinions of someone that was familiar with it at the time. Yeah, transparency. I forgot to say this at the start. The last time I read this comic was probably in the 80s. Like I haven't gone back and read many of these, like the odd one here and there, but I've never gone back and thought, "Oh, I can't wait to read the Forgotten Army Part 3 again." You know, it's just that's never a sentence I would say. There are some stories like. The Secret Files of Skrullos ones are really good because you get to see the backstories of characters. And they did one where it was the origin of Teela, which is one of my favorites because they did such a good job where they, again, did a lot of heavy lifting. It was 2 parts. It was like, the last 5 pages of one issue and the last 5 pages. It was like, that was issue 57 on 58, I think, something like that. So it was like, 8 or so issues into the German reprint. So when they started reprinting the German stories from issue 50 onwards, they would still do the UK stories, which meant you got some real duds. There was one called like, oh my God, it ran like for about, it felt like forever. And it was just like this giant insect invasion.
Oh boy.
Well, the horde had just like, and there's all these insects attacking He-Man, and it was that artist that did the Faker story, and it was just like, oh, this. Not very good. There was another one where He-Man and, is it Orko, or was it was He-Man and someone, and they enter a world where it's like, I'm surprised like they weren't sued, but it's like Disney's Peter Pan. It's all those designs, like all these characters, and it's really weird. There was, and this is, I'm sure we'll cover it one day, but one of my favorites was, there's this, I think this was He-Man and Ram Man, and they're like, the 5-page story boils down to, there's an alien invasion, we've got to stop it. Oh, they were making a film. It's literally that. Some people on Eternity some aliens just happened to be making a film.
It was all a dream.
It was all a dream. Yeah, He-Man wakes up in the shower. It was all a dream.
But with this one, I would say, for the most part, my opinion on these hasn't swayed too much. But I will say that I enjoyed this one way more than I have previously. But maybe it was just the present company that
thank you, man.
Helped get me through it. But
through it. Lord.
While we collect ourselves, why don't you enjoy some vintage commercials that we've been doing as of late, and we'll be back right after that.
There's something strange in the neighborhood.
So who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Each sold separately.
Have no fear. Venkman, Steph, and Spengler are here. So are these ghosts. They've got ectoplasm. We've been gooped. Now what? Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Let's show this pile of dessert who's boss. Activate Neutrona Blaster. We ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Peter Venkman, Ectoplasm, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and other figures each sold separately. Ghostbusters, new from Kenner.
Heroes in a half shell are baking a surprise. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies. Fresh from the sewers to you. Their mind go delicious, you know that's true. Because they're filled with mutagen goo. That's vanilla pudding, dude. They got the tastiest, flakiest, greatest crust. Even better than on pizza. And it's green like us. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies. Fresh from the sewers to you. Radically sweet.
They can't be beat.
And there's a free turtle sticker inside. That's neat. New from Boston. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies. Fresh from the sewers to you.
Mask, where illusion is the ultimate weapon.
Convert Switchblade to jet mode. Surprise, Matt Tracker. It's mayhem. Battle station. Protect the decoder, Bruce. I'm going up. Stacks ready to fire.
Mask, Switchblade, Thunderhawk, and Rhino.
Fire!
Each sold separately with action figure.
Cover me, Matt. 10-4. Sato's getting away. But you're not, Mayhem.
Mask, Switchblade, Thunderhawk, and Rhino. Each sold separately. New from Kenner.
And we're back. James, it's 2026. You and I had messaged a little bit. You were getting into the holidays. You like to have... we were actually potentially going to do an episode of this right before Christmas.
Yeah, we were, yeah.
Yeah, where you talk about your traditions that you do every year. A lot of chocolate, a lot of video games.
So much video games.
Let's talk about your holidays. How did it go? I know how it went for the most part.
You know how it went.
But let the people know.
Let the people know. No, so yeah, for those that don't know, I think it was around about 2008, 2009, I decided to kind of reclaim Christmas, because I always say to people, it's like the older you get, the less magical Christmas gets. And it's just one of those things. So I thought, I kind of want to reclaim it. So I started, around about 2008, buying gaudy decorations to put in my place or whatever. And I thought, I want to start playing because I'm not a video game player. Like, I stopped playing video games around about N64 time, Mario Kart 64. My friends and I on a Friday night would all meet up and play Mario Kart 64. And after that, I kind of never got into the Xbox or anything like that. So I checked out, but I always had a love for the games I grew up with. So every Christmas, my routine is, and has been since about 2008, is play video games, retro video games, so Space Invaders, Outrun, Final Fight, Street Fighter, all the classics. Eat lots of chocolate because I tend not to eat chocolate throughout the year. So yeah, I did, no chocolate for so many days, and then Christmas Day start eating chocolate again and eat a lot of it because it is my vice. It's like I'm terrible when it comes to chocolate. And then the other thing I always do is like I have again, something I established over a decade ago, is like my Christmas viewing. So it's all snow themed cartoons and Christmas specials. He-Man She-Ra Christmas special, Filmation Snow White Christmas, but then like snow themed episodes of stuff like Thundercats, He-Man, Inspector Gadget, Mask, Ninja Turtles. And this year it became like the ultimate list where I watch all those shows across a bunch of days whilst playing video games. But unfortunately, as Nathan knows, this year I came down with a cold on Boxing Day. So day after Christmas Day, I was just like, oh, I feel a bit funny. And I just came down. I was like really ill. So I didn't have the energy to sit there and play video games annoyingly, which is really, really frustrating. I still watched a lot of stuff and I still managed to force chocolate down my throat, which was all right, but which was probably great for my illness. But yeah, it was just one of those where it's just like, oh, that was a bit of a bummer. So yeah, yesterday I thought I'll just, even though we're into 2026, I thought I'll just sneak a little bit of retro video game playing. So I played Space Invaders and got the highest score I'd ever got on this. I was like, yes, it was worth it.
And this is the only time of year that you play video games.
Yeah,
so much like chocolate, you're like, nope.
No, I mean, like, I have done years where I will resume eating chocolate throughout the year, but it's like the older I get, the harder that is to maintain because I'm such a chocolate fiend. But video games, I don't play them at all. Like, because if ever I'm sat in front of my computer, my laptop, it sounds lame, but I'm just creating. I'm always creating. I'm always like, right, YouTube or this or that or I'm always creating. It's not like, I'm good. Even when I played Space Invaders yesterday, I felt guilty. I was like, that was like an hour I should have been making videos, and it's and then I made a video. But it's yeah, it was. But even then, it was still like a really nice Christmas. My nephew got me my brother's wife got me a really cool like Costa coffee kind of set, and it got this like nice little coffee glass, which is just had coffee in, so it was quite nice. And that's my nephew got me. And I was just like, I'm not a Funko collector these days, but I thought there was good intention behind this gift, and I really appreciate it. It's this Funko of, can you see Skeletor in that pose?
Yeah. It's that's like the
irony is, the irony is, I made that video grab famous because I'm the one that took it in the first place. It's from Journey to Stone City.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, so it's like when he gave that to me, I was like, oh my god! I said it's come full circle. I didn't even know they'd made this till I unwrapped it, and I was like, oh, I like that. It's a really cute looking little thing though.
Anytime I see a pose like that, I just think of Jeff Goldblum and Jurassic Park.
Yeah, with I like the one that is it Jeff Goldblum on Jeff Goldblum's belly? That's a really good one. It's really trippy.
That one I've not seen. But in regards
how was your Christmas? I was going to say.
Oh no, Christmas was good. It's my Christmases anymore. So when I was younger, it was more so of open presents at home, and then we're going to like my grandmother's house, but then like all the aunts and uncles and cousins and everybody are there. And I would say the last 15, we're probably inching closer now to 20 years. That hasn't really been a thing anymore, just because everyone starts to spread out, and family, passing away. Also, just like family drama, families being families, as they do. So mine's just more or less going to my parents and then just opening gifts here with Emily, and I love it. So very condensed and small, but still great. Watching Christmas movies a little bit, but as soon as Christmas was over, I was like, yeah, all right, Christmas movies, you're done for. I'm done with that. We still have the tree up. Got to take the tree down. Like we're lazy about that, but
no, I've still got the tree up. I need to take it down.
It's such a process, though. It's just it's too much, and much like you were talking. It's like I could be doing something else. Don't worry about taking the tree down. But yeah, no, Christmas was good. But with you being sick, were you still able to at least taste the chocolate? Because that would have been a bummer too.
Well, yeah, just about. Like initially, I thought, oh no, I'm going to lose my sense of taste. But amazingly, even though I had a cold and like there was one day when it was really bad. When that's when I didn't eat anything because I had the cold, not much of a runny nose, but just a cold, and I was really achy, and I was like, oh, this is horrible. And then in the days that followed, even though I still had the cold and kind of like a bad throat, it was more a sore and a cough. So I was still able to eat and taste, thank God. So yeah, it's probably because the chocolate was probably so chemically induced with stuff. I was like, oh, I love this taste, this natural taste of cocoa. And it's just like, fucking hell, what insect have they crushed this to get this taste out of?
So
I'll show you one. I bought this Christmas present for myself and for a YouTube video I'm making, of course.
Is it a comic?
No, I mean, I do have comics, but which I will show at some point in a future episode. But I'm not a collector of figures at all. But this company, this is my first purchase from this company. I've always tempted me. I've always been like, I love what they do, but they haven't made the thing that's going to make me. And then they made this, and I went as soon as I saw it. I think it was at San Diego Comic-Con. They unveiled it, and I was like, I'm going to own that action figure because I've been waiting 30 years for this.
I know where this is going.
You know, I finally got Ace Duck in his little red pants. I was just like, I love this character so much. It's just such a great. I haven't unpackaged it yet because I'm doing a YouTube video. I wrote the script for it. I was sitting on a train the other month, and I was sitting there writing the script, and it's like, yeah, this is a figure that I wanted for 30 years because. You know, I used to buy the Turtles toy line came out in the UK, and the first wave had come out, and in the back of the Archie Adventure magazine, they'd always say like, you know, mail order things you could buy like toys and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And in one of the Archie things, they just had like Casey Jones, Baxter Stockman, Ace Duck, and I was like, oh my God, they've made a toy of Ace Duck. No pictures. This is obviously pre-internet and everything. And so my dad's friend in Canada, my dad speaks to his friend in Canada and says, hey, you know. We'll send over all done like via mail. We'll send over the cash in Canadian dollars. Sends over the figure, and I still remember the day it arrived. It was the open. So I know the exact date because it was the opening. It was the opening day of the 1990 World Cup, the big international soccer event. I remember just getting this big manila envelope, thinking like, "Oh my God, I've got Ace Duck," and all my friends have been going like, "Oh my God, you're going to get a figure of Ace Duck." Everyone's big turtle craze. And I opened it, and I remember going like, "What's this?" Because there's this guy in the comics, like this big burly buff duck dude.
Yeah.
And then what arrives is like a duck in a bomber jacket with like eggs as weapons, and I was like, "What's this?" I mean, it was still cool to own. People were just like, "Oh, that's really cool." When I took it to school, everybody was like, "That's really cool." I was like, "I wanted this Ace Duck," and so yeah, for all those years that followed, I was like. Never going to get an Ace Duck. And then NECA, who obviously are a fantastic toy company, were like, let's make a giant duck in Speedos.
Just for
you.
James.
Just for me. So I was like, I'm going to turn this into a YouTube video because I've got enough of a story and enough kind of examples and scans. I was like, yeah, I can celebrate the muscle-bound duck in red Speedos happily.
Curious to see what pose you end up putting him in to display on the shelf.
I haven't thought about that, but yeah, I mean, I'd probably use that head, the kind of the supercilious one. This one, it's just like look at that. That pose is great there.
That honestly, that's probably the pose I would go with. Like, yeah, look at me, guys.
Yeah, because I just love like him in the comic was so good. He's only in a few panels, obviously, with him and Crying Hound and Leatherhead and stuff. And because he fights Leatherhead in the comic. But I was just like, I've been kind of holding off, and I thought I'm going to do it because I don't buy many action figures anymore. But I was like, I think that's one I'm going to commit to.
Well, it's kind of funny that you showed that off and the Speedos with the ring. You're thinking wrestling. So
I thought you were about to stand up and wear Speedos.
Red Speedos.
Okay, I wasn't.
No,
sure
I just got me some Cobra Kai pajama bottom pants on.
I thought you were gonna say you got the Rex Kwon Do American flag pants. Bow to your sensei.
Oh man, so he's actually going to be at a convention very close to Tyler and I.
Diedrich Bader.
Yeah, here in about a month.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I think we're probably going to go to this convention. Because I really like his performance as Batman and Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, he's he's great, man.
But I should just get an 8x10 of him if he's got one at Rex Kwon Do and mail it to you. I might do that. But speaking of
Yeah.
wrestling, you're a big fan of the WWE Vault, and I noticed that a day ago they posted the full event, the Wrestling Classic, which was like their second pay-per-view after WrestleMania, and it was that 16-man tournament, and then like in between there it was like Hogan and Piper had a match. But I put that on, and it's just cozy for one thing, but the ring that they use it reminds me so much of just how the ECW ring would sound. You can hear every step. It's so kind of bouncy. It was so good.
I'll have to check that out. The thing I stumbled upon, because they put so much good stuff up there. It was a did you see it was the ones of Mr. Perfect throwing the dart, trying to get the balls up? Such a good video.
I know, all that unseen
and also,
footage.
Like, how deadly serious Rick Rude seems when the cameras aren't rolling. I'm like, oh my God. Even when he's doing the cross-eyed thing, I was like, he's going to laugh about it. He's like, no, he's in character, man, the whole time.
Which they used for the thumbnail, which I appreciated.
When I looked at it, I don't think they had that as the thumbnail, so they must have changed it.
I've noticed that they've started doing that a lot with
because that wasn't the thumbnail.
YouTube.
It was something completely different. But I was like, oh wow, like I love when you also, you talk about like a warm, cozy feeling. I just love looking at the comments section on the Vault videos, because it's just everybody going like, please have more of this, because it's so good. Like they did a bunch of Ultimate Warrior stuff as well. Did you see that?
I haven't watched it, but I saw that it was up there.
Behind the scenes stuff, and it's just like, there's one shot of him and Macho Man preparing for a promo, and it's just, you see Macho's normal voice.
Is this the one where he's like grabbing Warrior by the hair?
And he's got Mean Gene's there with like, so gentlemen, and I think they turned that into like a short as well. But yeah, originally it was in this little compilation I saw. But oh my God, like that Vault channel is just so good. And I think I told you was it last month, in the background whilst I was working, they had a bunch of, I think it was an old WCW like house show or something. No commentary. Just you'd look up and it was fantastic. Like I think this was the early, actually maybe more NWA, because it was early days of Road Warriors. But it was just so good to watch. And I love that channel. It's I won't be surprised if it does better than some of their shows on TV at the time.
I mean, that's the thing too, because the deal with Peacock expired. So all those old pay-per-views, all the WCW stuff here in the States isn't on Peacock anymore. But on Netflix, a lot of, I've noticed, it's like WrestleMania, SummerSlams, a lot of the old WWF pay-per-views have started to show up on Netflix here in the States. I'm curious, maybe it'll be more like pay-per-views on Netflix, and then the Vault just continues more to put up all the weird in-between stuff, and then the WCW YouTube channel just uploads the entire library on. We'll see how that goes, but
I mean, they should use WWE. YouTube is perfect for their content.
It is.
Like, it's astonishing to think the amount of B-roll they have, the amount of bloopers and outtakes they could. And not to sound too corporate, but they could monetize the shit. I mean, they probably are already. They're monetizing all of those. But what I've noticed about a lot of the stuff on the Vault channel is you'll get an ad at the start and maybe one in between. When you try and watch like highlights of Raw, it's like an ad every minute. It's just like, this is ridiculous.
Oh, well, I have YouTube Premium, so I don't worry.
Oh, you get all the ads.
I don't have to worry about all the ads. But please watch the Wrestling Classic, if for anything, just to listen to the sound of that mat, because most of the time when you think WWF shows, you just think of like that really hard, almost boxing ring-esque sound.
But you're saying you can hear almost like the springs and the strain of the
but I mean, even when they're just running the ropes and their feet are hitting the mat, you see the mat bouncing. It's like it's so good. I'm like, this is like ECW. This is why I love so much about ECW. So I'm curious if there are more WWF shows from around, because this was 85. If there are more shows from around that period where they may have reused that same ring, because I would love to watch those shows.
there's probably somewhere online where they talk about that, or maybe even in the comments section. You could, like for that video, maybe look at the comment section. You're bound to get one kind of, nerdy guy who's like, oh, they're using Ring 26A, which they used at these specific shows.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing too, is like, I think WWF for the most part, their rings were 20 by 20, whereas like WCW, ECW were all 18 by 18.
Yeah.
And that one definitely looked like an 18 by 18 size ring. So maybe that's the justification for it. I don't know, but the matches themselves aren't too spectacular, but throughout the tournament there is a match between Dynamite Kid and Macho Man, and I'm like, this is really fun.
Wow.
With those
that's awesome. Yeah,
being paired up. So you should definitely
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I love those vault channels. Apparently they've registered an ECW one.
Oh, it's bound to, aren't they?
But I mean, that's way more of a pain in the ass, though, because they have to dub over or just like start the match
of course,
at the entrances.
That's the only downside about all of that old material, is that obviously, and especially when you look at the NWA days, there was so many things they were just like, oh, copyright be damned, we'll show whatever we want. And then music got hip to the game, and we're just like, oh, maybe we should start, charging for this music usage. But it is, like an ECW vault seems like a no-brainer. I mean, like that would be, I'd love to see all the B-roll of that stuff. Like a lot of the behind-the-scenes interviews, people out of character, Heyman not being Heyman for 5 seconds, although I think he is always going to be that guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I was watching a couple of months ago was, have you seen like these lengthy interviews like Stephanie McMahon does now?
Oh, yeah, it's like that.
She did one with Heyman, which was really interesting because he talked about like how he got into the business, which is a story I've heard bits and pieces of before, but there was some like really kind of intricate details. Like, just that was interesting. She interviewed Cena, but I just, no disrespect to Cena, I just find him so kind of not robotic, but he's so precise in what he says these days.
He's very PR,
not political PR.
Well, PR friendly. It's just
he'll like on the Steph McMahon podcast on the show, like he curses like a sailor and stuff. But there's just something where it's like he always strikes me as like a really like interesting and probably very nice guy. But at the same time, it's just like, I feel like we're not getting you anymore. We're getting here I am, John Cena. I will be at your bar mitzvah or whatever, that kind of thing. It's like, I want to see like John Cena of old. But it's she interviewed CM Punk's wife. Is it AJ Lee? That's her name, isn't it? Yeah. She was on that. So there's been a few good episodes of that I've seen. So it's like, and every wrestler seems to have like a pod. I saw JBL's doing like or maybe he's been doing a podcast for a while now. Like I think that's part of the Something to Wrestle With. Conrad Thompson.
Those guys. Yeah, Conrad and everybody. Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting wrestling content online right now.
Yeah, I've kind of checked out mostly from the wrestling podcast aspect of it. It's pretty much for me just watching old stuff. Like before we came in here to record, I think it's like Crockett Cup 87. It's like 4.5 hours long. I just I'm like, noise for the dogs. They could just listen to that while I'm in here recording.
Like I say, I'll be working and I'll be like, I'm just gonna shove on some, like you say, Crockett Cup, or what's the one WCW in the early 90s? Battle Brawl?
Battle Bowl.
Battle Bowl, And there was one where it was just like, it was a team. It was Vader and someone at the end. Vader and
was it Cactus Jack?
No, it was Vader and Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes. And he just like floors him, and it's just like, what? Just like their partners. It's like, well, Dustin Rhodes, it's just like, oh.
I actually, because they had it uploaded, like the actual Battle Bowl match, so they have all those tag matches, and it leads to Battle Bowl. And they put that match up just as itself, so it's 91. But it's so convoluted. I didn't remember it being. It was like everyone's in ring one, and you can get thrown because you see the guys getting thrown out on the ramp. It's like no, they're still in the match. You get thrown into ring two, you're still in the match, but you have to get thrown into ring two, and they get thrown out of ring two to be eliminated. I was like,
and then you've got Missy Hyatt like trying to explain the rules as well. It's like I have no idea what she's talking about either.
And then it's like once everyone but one have been eliminated in ring one. That guy gets to hang out in ring one and chill while the rest of them fight it out. And then the one remaining in ring two fights the guy in ring one.
Oh, that's
and I'm like,
okay.
Yeah, it's a very convoluted concept.
Yeah, that seems very. Sounds like a dusty. Yeah, dusty.
I was
idea.
about to say the same thing.
Yeah, a really good idea.
That's a dusty idea for sure. But yeah, so much good.
But I love those. Like, I think you summed it up best there. It's like you go to YouTube and you'll see that they've uploaded, like you say, a Crockett Cup or an NWA that's like some event that's like 6 hours long and it's dimly lit. And there's a bit of commentary, or maybe the commentary's been drowned out or something. And you're just like, yeah, I'll have that on in the back. There was one I watched the other week, and it was like Shivani was on commentary. And he was the only one on commentary. You could barely hear him. I was like, I don't know what the sound mix is for this, but it wasn't awful. It's just like I say, look up, see. There was one thing with it. I forget. It was like the opening match, and it was like the guy did the old, the Batista bump where he knows he was supposed to lean into the punch, and so he has to do the it's really bad, and the crowd was just like boo. Oh dear.
Yeah, those crowds picked up on stuff, especially those rowdy NWA mid '80s crowds.
Well, I showed you. I sent
pretty ruthless
for the audience. I sent Nathan a video. I got. This was when I had the WWE Network. So it's those days, and they had all like the NWA matches, and this was what did I say? It was the one that Bruce Pritchard was kind of in charge of for a while down south, Georgia Championship Wrestling, GC, I guess it was. Yeah, it was Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Okay.
And it was the one I sent you the video where the woman in the crowd just has a giant puppet dog.
Yeah.
And it's like, why has she got a giant puppet dog? And they just like, she wasn't like the center of attention, but you're watching like the 1, 2, 3 kid who I think was the Kamikaze Kid or the Cannibal Kid against what's his name?
Jerry Lynn.
Jerry Lynn, yeah, they're having this awesome match. In the background, there's a woman with like a dog puppet, and I'm like, what's the dog puppet story? That's not even an angle. It's not even a wrestling angle. It's just a woman with a dog puppet in the crowd.
I imagine that most of that was just they ran the same building repeatedly. That's like where all the shows probably emanated from. So they probably just turned into a thing. She's like, I'm going to start bringing a puppet to all the shows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm going to be the lady with a puppet. That's not weird.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I just had a memory of so like 93, I'd say 94, 95. So New Generation WWF is on TV. Like, I'm not even checking into WCW. All I know about WCW at that moment in 95 is that there's a show on Saturday that's filmed in and the big boss man is the Guardian Angel. That's all I know about like WCW at the time. Like, what the hell is this?
It wasn't a great era for WCW.
No, this is before. I think this was just after Hogan arrives. It's that kind of era.
Yeah.
But anyway, like the New Generation is the thing I'm watching. But the weirdest thing was every once in a while you would switch on to a channel called Eurosport, which ran for nearly 40 years. It only closed down last year. And Eurosport would show sport from all around the world, but it would also show wrestling. But the weirdest thing was they were showing, I guess, WCW New Japan crossover wrestling.
Oh.
So what would happen is I'm watching one channel with Big Daddy Cool Diesel and Quang, who was Savio Vega. Do you remember Quang?
Yeah, I remember.
Managed by Harvey Whippleman.
Yeah.
So like you'd have Big Daddy Cool Diesel, Quang, and then on the other channel, like a few hours later, you'd be like, oh, what's this? And you'd see Oz, Big Diesel, Kevin Nash, and TNT, who was like Savio Vega without the mask. And it's just like, I remember like it blowing my mind because I was like, well, when was this? It's so hard to try and figure out everything. I mean, obviously it became obvious that it was early. It was before, Diesel Kevin Nash had gone to WWF, but it was it was weird times, man. Just be flicking channels, being like, "What's this wrestling event?"
Maybe that was just their counter programming to be like, "Oh, Diesel's champion at this time. Let's show him."
This
when he
wasn't that time. Yeah.
Let's show him when he wasn't cool. Let's show him when he had a dumb gimmick.
Such a gimmick.
Yeah.
I still like if they do an ECW vault. I'm just going to do one search and just be Hakushi, or I forget what his name was in. I think he had his actual original name when he wrestled for ECW, but I loved watching him. He was just one of my favorites.
There was a match with Him and Brett. I remember.
Yeah, I was about to say
yeah.
him and Brett had like a great rivalry, and they I mean, it just showed that Brett could work with anyone because he's working with like a high flyer kind of like. I was recently watching I think it was Stevie Richards on his show, and he was talking about Bret Hart's buckle bump, and you never really appreciate how amazing that buckle bump is, where he runs, and it looks like
it runs sternum first into the turnbuckle and then just sells it like death.
Yeah, and it's just like, and they showed Owen doing it as well. It's like, oh no, Owen could do it as well. It's just like, but Bret was like the master of it, and it's just like, wow. Just when you see this, like,
I saw a thing. It may have been like a short on Facebook or a reel on Facebook or something. And it got me thinking about it. And of course, you can break this down in a million ways and be like, yeah, well, then this doesn't make sense either. But this guy was talking about how dumb the Russian leg sweep is, because you're doing just as much damage to yourself, if not more, because you're putting more torque in it with yourself falling down, and you're essentially doing the same thing as your opponent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, when you really start breaking it down, that makes no sense.
But you could do that with every wrestling move. I think.
Absolutely.
Like, oh yeah, the Hulk Hogan's leg drop, that worked well in real life. Do you know what I mean? If you were to bring that into it, it's like, yeah, that fucked up. Even Stone Cold, the Stunner is one of my favorite finishes. But my God, like you falling onto your bum and like
compressing your spine over and over and over.
Yeah. And especially like after Stone Cold had bloody had the the neck break or neck injury with Owen Hart, you think like he should never have been doing the Stunner again. He continued to do it,
if not more so.
If not more so, yeah. Like
it's like, all right, you're not going to work a full match, but you're going to go out here, drink beers, and stunner like 11 people.
Yeah,
so it probably did more damage that way.
You're going to do your damaging finishing move on someone. Yeah, God, like. I was watching a compilation of, I think it was just Stone Cold's last year or so. It was one of these WWF like compilation videos. I think I showed you the thing that the story of the Wolf, story of NWO Part 1, story of NWO Part 2, which was weird because they stopped just before or just at the finger poke of doom, and I was like, no, show me what happened. I mean, I know I watched WCW back then. Show me how it got really stupid, and show me the B team, and show me NWO 2000, and that shit. Oh, silver and black, yeah.
Show us how it all fell apart.
Yeah, but they had like a Stone Cold one where it was like, I think his last year. So like when he came back after. Oh no, it was just before. So it was when the NWO invaded. I always forget about the match where was it Rock, Stone Cold versus the NWO? That's insane that happened.
And it was just on a Raw.
It was just on a Raw. And you think like, how? And again, I could watch all day. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but Scott Hall take the Stunner is still my favorite thing ever.
Oh yeah, he did take a good
stunner. The leg plant and the thing. It's beautiful.
Have you seen the video someone made where it does it and he just floats up in the air and keeps floating up in outer space? Yeah.
I feel like you might have said that to me, to be honest.
I probably did. James, we gotta just take wrestling and make it a eccentric episode down the road. But
we've said before, like me, you, and Tyler we should definitely do like a watch along for like a Royal Rumble, like one that I haven't watched in years. I'd be like, oh, Greg Valentine's coming out. So you know what I mean? Someone like
this is terrible. Who Dory Funk Jr.'s in this?
Who's this guy?
But hopefully we can get one of those done down the road. I hope everyone enjoyed us going back, covered an issue of the UK comic. Of course, we do have some more of that planned for you in the future. But if you haven't done so already, make sure you like this episode, leave a comment down below, and subscribe. And until later, let the power return. I'm going to assume you don't have a movie quote or anything for me.
No, I'm terrible with movie quotes. This could be the movie quote. I'm terrible at movie quotes.
And I still wouldn't get it because I'm just as bad at guessing at them most of the time.
It's quite funny. Like I love movies, and I've got all these quotes in my brain. But when it's like, "What's the movie quote?" I'm like,
dude, see, I'm the same way. Like Tyler's a rare breed. He keeps that stuff in it, and he just knows it. And I'm like, I just watched that movie yesterday, and if he picks something obscure enough, that line went over my head. I wasn't like honing in on that, and it's like he just absorbs.
Mine would always be from just like one movie every time. It'd just be like Ghostbusters. It would be Ghostbusters every time. It's like I can quote the movie all the time. It's like everyone's going to know that.
And this is, you guys see this on the show all the time. Mine are usually just when it's stuff Tyler and I have quoted back and forth to each other a lot. So like Basketball, Dumb and Dumber.
It's going to be those,
yeah, Mallrats, Clerks, that kind of stuff. But all right, man. I hope everyone enjoyed, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for your time.
What are you trying to prove here anyway?
I'm studying the effect of negative reinforcement on ESP ability.
The effect? I'll tell you what the effect is. It's pissing me off.
Well, then maybe my theory is correct.
You can keep the $5. I've had it.
I will, mister.